This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
It is a Friday edition of Money Moves. Mark Malusis and Mike Somich in for JVT and Stormy on this Friday. It's Oaks Day, Mike. It is Oaks Day out at Churchill Downs, the Derby tomorrow. What a better duo here, as you and I are both huge thoroughbred racing fans. Can't wait for the Oaks later on tonight and the Derby, obviously, tomorrow.
Yeah, very serendipitous. We end up on a show together here on Oaks Friday. It's finally here. I mean, I've been talking about these races for literally months now. Cannot wait to get into the gate for the Kentucky Oaks today. And obviously the Kentucky Derby tomorrow. We'll have a lot of conversation around the horses on the show. We even got races going on right now, Mark. 1 minute to post. I like the 3 here in the 4th at Churchill. We'll see if we can get a little bit of a price on them. Right now, 5-1 on the board.
I'm looking for some bombs and some huge long shots from Mike throughout the course of the next 2 hours. So we got you for the next 2 hours, right up until 4 o'clock Eastern time. Loaded show. Steve Bick will join us. Will Hill, hour number 1. Stormy will join us as well in hour number 2. So an action-packed show. Let's get to it. Let's start with something that we always do each and every day.
It's time for the top headlines and topics of the day. This is The Rundown.
Let's get to it, Mike. The rundown. 3 chances to close, 3 chances for chaos. And last night, how about the New York Knicks with the dominant performance over the Atlanta Hawks, winning it 140-89. Mike, at one point in time, they led this game 72-22. Led by 47 at the half, which was an NBA playoff record. I have not seen that kind of performance from the New York Knicks or really any other NBA team that we've ever seen in the history of the NBA playoffs, and historically you have not. The Knicks last night, dare I say, they haven't won an NBA championship since 1973, but last night, you know what? They looked like a championship team and played like it.
I can hear your fandom coming through there. I don't know. Let's pause on the championship thing. It was the Atlanta Hawks. They did have a 103-50 lead at one point, doubling up Atlanta there. But we'll see if we can keep it going here as the competition gets a little bit tougher for the Knicks moving forward.
No question about it. How about the Philadelphia 76ers forcing a Game 7 Saturday night up in Beantown with the 106-93 victory? For the Boston Celtics, Mike, it's pretty easy. If they're not knocking down their threes, they are readily beatable. Jason Tatum tweaked his calf last night. Jaylen Brown was brilliant in the regular season, has been shut down by the wing defenders for the Philadelphia 76ers, and the return of Joel Embiid has had a huge impact in this series for Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised that we have gotten to this point here in this series. I didn't think that Boston would really have too much trouble with the 76ers. We didn't know what you would get from Embiid, if anything, during this series. He obviously comes back and starts to play well in Game 5, plays well in Game 6. Now we have to head to Boston for Game 7 here. And this is a Celtics team that really overachieved the majority of the regular season, gets Tatum back, and everyone just kind of anointed them as the Eastern Conference champions heading into the playoffs here. They're still the favorites, but they have one very big game to get through before they can hold on to that crown.
My question is, though, Mike, should they be? I mean, should the Boston Celtics still be the favorites in the Eastern Conference based on what we have seen? We've seen Mazzulla. The bench played a huge role during the course of the regular season. Bench minutes have been down. We know when they're not knocking down their threes, you're not getting tremendous production down low from their front court. They're obviously a very finesse-oriented team, and they struggle offensively when the three-point shot is not falling. I understand that's the modern NBA game, but have we seen issues here with Boston as Philadelphia figured them out?
The should be the favorite question's an interesting one, because right off the top of my head, it feels like the answer is no. But then you look at the rest of the Eastern Conference and the question, okay, well, if they're not the favorite, who is? And I guess you could make an argument for the Knicks. They've obviously advanced. You see Detroit down a game right now against Orlando. Cleveland hasn't exactly looked great against the Toronto Raptors either. So that entire Eastern Conference feels like it's floundering a little bit here. I guess the Knicks would be the argument, but they're the third choice right now in the East. Maybe there's some betting value there.
Let's hear from the big man for the Philadelphia 76ers. Here is Joel Embiid on the series against the Celtics.
I've been paying these guys for so long. I'm tired of losing to them. So we have a chance to accomplish, something special. I mean, they're a great team, and you look at everything they have. That's a super team. So we just got to go in there with the mindset we've had for the last, 2 games, last 2 wins, and one play at a time. Tough environment, but we've been there. We won 2 games over there, so just keep doing what we've been doing, and we're coming far.
That would be a long summer up in Beantown, Mike, if you lose 3 home games to the Philadelphia 76ers and lose a series. But I'll tell you this, all the pressure in the world, like we talk about it time and time again, there is no pressure on Philadelphia, no pressure on Embiid, no pressure on Maxey or George or VJ Edgecombe. All the pressure in the world is on the Boston Celtics as they get ready for a Game 7 tomorrow night up in Beantown.
Yeah, it was a foregone conclusion Boston was going to win this series, especially when we were sitting there at 3-1. You see these back-to-back wins from the 76ers after a Boston blowout. I expected a much better performance from Boston. They've generally responded well with this core in the playoffs after a big loss. This time, they kind of throw another dud out there, and now they've got to go back home and face a Game 7 that they never thought was going to happen. And to your point, this is house money here if you're the 76ers. It feels like house money. If you told any Philly fan before this series, you're going to have a Game 7 in Boston, they would have signed that ticket right away. They would have been happy with that result and just say, okay, let's see how this plays out. If you told any Celtics fan, they would be like, nah, let's play the series out. Let's see what we can do. We don't need 7 years to get past Philadelphia. So you're dead on. All the pressure on Boston as they return home. And you kind of wonder, a 3-point heavy shooting team, is that the team you want all the pressure on? Because if the first quarter, some of those are missing, what happens here for Boston as they move forward? It's going to be a fascinating Game 7 there on Saturday.
And you know what, Mike? We're kind of both old school guys to an extent, right? We're big thoroughbred racing fans. I love rivalries, and there's no doubt about it. Minnesota and Denver, they can't stand each other out there in the Western Conference. And give the T-Wolves credit. I mean, no Anthony Edwards, no problem. No Dante DiVincenzo, no problem. As the Minnesota Timberwolves punched their ticket to the Western Conference semifinals with the 110-98 victory over Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. Speaking of Jokic, here he is talking about the fact that the Denver Nuggets, well, they need changes.
I mean, we just lost in the first round, so I think we are far away.
Do you feel like changes, or like what type of changes you feel like?
I mean, that's not my decision, to be honest. Definitely, if you're in Serbia, you will get fired.
Well, listen, Minnesota couldn't guard the entire series, Mike. We saw that time and time again, and it didn't matter. They could have stuck Malusis and Samic in there in the starting lineup last night for Minnesota. We would have scored double-digit points. I mean, it was amazing. It didn't matter for the T-Wolves. You look at Randall played well. Guys coming off the bench played really, really well. They lost 2 big-time players, and still Minnesota marching on to the semifinals.
Yeah, Terrence Shannon shows up with 24 points. Jaden McDaniels drops 32 in this game. You look at the box score, and you're almost surprised the Timberwolves won this basketball game. You look specifically at the three-point shooting, just 7 for 29 from behind the arc, 24%, yet somehow still able to get a big win over this Denver team. And it was a aggressive Minnesota offense where Randall getting to his spots, being able to hit shots, Shannon getting inside, same with McDaniels. Just a really impressive performance there and really picking on the weak spots inside this Denver defense. Jokic mentioned we've got to improve. They've got to improve on the defensive side, the role player side. They've got a lot of holes to fill inside this roster if they want to take advantage of the years that they have left with this Jokic era in Denver.
And it is Ladies' Day out at Churchill Downs, Oaks Day. You'll see the Kentucky Oaks later on tonight in primetime coverage on NBC. But tomorrow is really the greatest 2 minutes in sports. The Kentucky Derby, mile and a quarter, under the Twin Spires. 23-year-olds will go postward. It is an absolute kind of basically a cavalry charge into that first turn. Your morning line favorite, Renegade, Pletcher, Ortiz, and obviously Mike Rapoli breaking from the rail. His odds have ticked up. How about this field of 20 that are going to go postward tomorrow, Mike?
It's a fascinating field of 20. You mentioned it, Renegade, your favorite draws the rail. You have some quarter crack hoof issues for Renegade as well. Feels like Rapoli cannot get a favorite 100% healthy into the post, as we've seen this time and time again, year in and year out. Him having the favorite in this race on the morning line and either scratching or having some sort of ailment to deal with. We'll see if Renegade able to kind of reverse the curse here for Rapoli and get him his Derby victory. But There are 12 horses I've heard people make like legitimate cases for that could win this race. It's what makes it so fascinating right now. 5-1 your favoritism sitting there on Renegade. You're getting 10-1 on the majority of the field. A lot of different directions you can go here. We'll talk about who both of us like in this Derby, what we're doing with the Oaks Derby double, with that Oaks coming up later today, and have the Superfecta play inside the Kentucky Derby as well. See if we can go 2 for 2 over the last 2 years on that one, Mark.
Yeah, and Mike, I mean, last year, right before we hit the airwaves, you picked the Superfecta, so no pressure on. Just the world will be watching in terms of the 4 horses that you select, and hopefully they cross the finish line first, second, third, fourth. Back to Renegade for a second here. Let me ask you, what bothers you more? Obviously, 5-1, a morning line favorite, the quarter crack foot issues or him breaking from the rail?
In this case, it's breaking from the rail. He ran with a quarter crack foot issues in Arkansas and ran well in that race. So we've already seen him be able to deal with it. And this is like, you can comp it to a chipped toenail in a human, right? You can run on it. It doesn't feel great at certain times. If you take a bad step, that's not awesome. But they have special shoes for you. You can get shoes to make it feel better for you. You can wrap the toe up. Same thing with horse racing. So Renegade wore special shoes in the Arkansas Derby. He'll be wearing those same shoes in the Kentucky Derby tomorrow. So that not as big of an issue as drawing that one where we've not seen a winner since 1986. Been 40 years since the one post able to get home in first, and just one horse in the last 10 years able to finish in the top 3. So the post position, to me, bigger issue than that injury.
I think you go back 40 years ago, that was the great Bill Shoemaker and Ferdinand with one of the epic rides ever in the history of the Kentucky Derby. We'll continue the Derby conversation next. Steve Bick will join Mike and myself from SiriusXM's At the Races. Oaks Day, Derby Day tomorrow. We got you covered, pony to postward. It is Money Moves right here on VSiN.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
It is Money Moves. Mark Malusis and Mike Somich in with you in for Stormy and JVT on this Friday, Oaks Day, a Derby weekend out at beautiful Churchill Downs. There's no question about it, and it is a beautiful thing. I want to remind everybody the Kentucky Derby is tomorrow, and VSiN Pro has everything you need to bet both right. Our Kentucky Derby betting guide includes expert best bets and predictions, DRF, Kentucky Derby past performance, Mike Somich's Derby Superfecta. He hit it a year ago. You'll get post-draw analysis, race day coverage, daily best bets, real-time betting splits, AI-powered tools, and 24/7 video on the VSiN Watch app. Don't miss it. Visit vsin.com/subscribe. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. There's nothing like Derby weekend out at Churchill Downs, Mike. There really isn't. No, it's slice of Americana.
It's awesome. I've been fortunate enough to go a couple times, and it's a blast. There's so many people there. The roar you get the first time the horses come by the stretch it gives you chills every single opportunity you get to be there. And it's just so many people having such a good time. They changed the ticket structure a couple years back, so it's just open bar across the track. You get all you can drink when you walk in. It's made it a little crazier in certain areas of the racetrack, but it's a very, very good time. Very long day, too. We've got 27 races over the next 2 days, and you end up at the racetrack for what feels like 10 hours on that Kentucky Derby day when you start so early in the morning and you go to that late Kentucky Derby post. And even the 2 races afterward, the degenerate races, the 2 after the Kentucky Derby that you got to stick around for.
Yeah, no question. Are you a mint julep guy, Mike?
I am not a mint julep guy. There's too much sugar in that thing for me. I'm a bourbon guy. Just give me like bourbon on the rocks, and I feel good at the Kentucky Derby. I think that's the route to go, so you don't get all hyped up on sugar while you're also drinking a couple cocktails.
Well, I think our next guest, it might be a mint julep guy, and Steve Bick joins us. Does a great job. Sirius XM at the races on Sirius Channel 162, XM 207, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to noon. Huge thoroughbred racing fan joins the program now. Hey, Steve, happy Oaks Day to you. Thanks for the time this afternoon.
Well, happy Oaks indeed, and thanks for having me.
Now, Steve, every year you get the opportunity to go to the Derby. You kind of get to take in the vibes of the scenery, everything that's going on there. How does it feel this year that it seems like we're not going to get rain for the first time in what feels like forever? Should be a beautiful day on Kentucky Derby Saturday. How is everything around the track?
Well, what's interesting is it's the coldest. It's going to be the coldest Derby in basically 30 years in the 50s. That part of it is a little different. And you're right about the weather. Traditionally, it'll rain one day or the other day, and sometimes both. But no, it's going to be dry. It's going to be cool and comfortable. That's great for the horses. They like it cool, and everything's in place. I mean, we've had a terrific. They've really amped up Derby week, and they've turned it into really a multi-day extravaganza. They've got 5-0 Tuesday, the 502 area code in Louisville. Then there's Wednesday. They created Thurby, and Oaks and Derby have been, on the calendar for 150 years. So they've really made it a special atmosphere, and everybody shows up, and everybody's ready to bet, and they're ready to have a good time.
Steve, when you look at the field for Derby 152, Mike was mentioning it earlier. How deep do you, Steve, think win contention goes?
That's a great way to frame the conversation because we kind of arrived here with those three horses that Nick Tammaro, the morning line odds maker, was grappling with in terms of Renegade and Commandment and Further Ado. And then what's happened, once the betting started, we've had another 5, even 6 horses that are taking considerable money. And so it's made for a little bit of a murkier picture, which is interesting because I don't think contention has really changed all that much. But the way the Derby is bet in recent years, you get horses that capture the public's imagination. And as it happens this year, So Happy, who is a very nice Santa Anita Derby winner, and he's not without chance, but he's taking way more money than you would have expected. And so for that reason, we've got 7 horses under 10 to 1. And people are going to say, well, it's Friday. There's a lot of money in the pool. And these prices, they may change a little bit. They may come up a little, come down a little. But what you're seeing on the board right now in advanced betting, it's not really going to change. So there's going to be overlays. There's going to be values. And just look at last year. I mean, Sovereignty, if somebody had told you could have gotten Sovereignty for $18, you would have signed right up. So this is kind of a new landscape, the way the Derby has been bet in recent years. I would say there's 6, maybe a 7th contender for win. But after that, the exotic candidates, they go very deep. 14, 15 horses could hit the board here, hit the Super.
Yeah, to your point, we've got $2.5 million already in the pool. You mentioned it, 7 horses under that 10 to 1 price. We're not seeing anyone go over the 40 to 1 price either. Feels like the Ritz strike effect still fully in horse racing where, hey, if a horse is 60 to 1, I might as well put a few bucks on it and just see what can happen. I don't know if we're going to strike lightning again like we did with Ritz strike, but it'll be interesting to see what happens as we do get more and more money and this pool does mature itself. I want to start out with the Florida horses here because in my mind, and I think the general consensus is Florida was the best prep circuit throughout this season. I often try and lean on a circuit, and in this case, they have 3 horses coming out of Florida, all within a length of each other in that Florida Derby, the 6 Commandment, the 9, the Puma, and the 12, Chief Wallaby. What do you make of the Florida contingent here heading into the Kentucky Derby?
Well, that's a very fair assessment in terms of the regions between Fairgrounds in New Orleans, Santa Anita in California, Oak Lawn at Hot Springs, Arkansas, New York, of course, at Aqueduct. And I would, obviously, because of what happened at Tampa and how good the Tampa Bay Derby came up, you got to include it as part of the Gulfstream assessment. And there's a lot of people that totally agree with you that Commandment and the Puma and Chief Wallaby, that all three of them are win eligible, and I don't necessarily disagree. And the funny thing about that trio is, each one, Commandment has been the most consistent, and the Puma is the one that kind of came the fastest and the furthest. And then Chief Wallaby, especially because of Bill Mott and Sovereignty last year, Chief Wallaby feels like the candidate, that is being engineered to run his best race tomorrow. So all three are very eligible. The Puma has made a tremendous impression here at Churchill. He had that terrific work at Gulfstream before Gustavo Delgado sent him to Louisville. And then since he's been here, he's really looked great. So anybody behind the Puma, you got, I think, a lot to like. Commandment is not a flashy horse. He's not a big morning glory. He doesn't work particularly fast. And he's a horse that has got a quality that I've always loved in this race. He's a horse that will run even fractions. He'll run 24 and change quarters. And you run 5 quarters in 24 seconds and change, you'll stop the clock in about 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Well, 2 minutes and 2 seconds wins probably 7 out of 10 derbies. And so Commandment is just a horse that is going to come around very evenly and has got I think a very good chance. I'm not as high on him as I was, midwinter, but all three of those Florida horses, Tampa and Gulfstream, any of those three can win.
Steve, we have about 2 minutes left here. What do you do with the Japanese contingent?
I was open-minded toward Denon Bourbon. Kate Hunter, who is a liaison for the Japanese horses when they ship all over the world. I had Kate on in February before Denon Bourbon had really bubbled to the surface, and she warned all of our listeners that Denon Bourbon was going to win the Japanese Road to the Derby, and what a serious horse he is. And then there's Wonder Dean, who worked his way to Meydan and won the UAE Derby, and actually ran a race that is probably not being considered as strongly as it should. I'm going to wait. It's going to take a Japanese invader winning this race before I get behind one. They're both nice horses. There's a lot of people I respect that like the non-Bourbon. I'm going to pass on both of them. But the Japanese have made such great progress in their program, and these are two nice horses.
We got about 20 seconds, Steve. Yeah. Got to put you on the spot. Who's your winner?
Emerging Market. Chad Brown shows up here with a horse making his third start. He's going to be 12-1, give or take. You get Flavian Pratt, whose record he's amassing in this race as a jockey is outlandish. I think this is a special talent, and I think it's a unique opportunity to bet him in this spot. He's a horse that won the Louisiana Derby going 9.5 furlongs, meaning he only ran 110 yards shorter than the Derby distance. That's in his court. There's a lot to like about Emerging Market. I'm going to use Further Ado, who's just really done very little wrong for Brad Cox. And then everybody should be using Incredible.
Of time, but there we have it. We're coming back. Money Move.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Free picks backed by real analysis. That's just win bets, baby. Mathematical models and AI-driven best bets across NFL, college hoops, NBA, NHL, UFC, soccer, and so much more. Plus a live weekend preview every single Friday. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow on X and get their free daily Best Bets newsletter at justwinbetsbaby.com. Mark Malusis, Mike Somich with you in for Stormy and JVT on this Friday edition of Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. And Steve, it was like the Academy Awards at the end of the last segment where Steve was being played off by the music. But I think the final numbers that he had was 15, 18, 11 were his top three for Derby 152 tomorrow, Mike.
Yeah, he's going to go with Emerging Market on top, who's actually taking money right now. A horse that's lightly raced, only 2 starts, going to be the 3rd start of the career for Chad Brown. Was 15-1 on the morning line, at 10-1 currently in the market. Further ado, I will talk about this one, Mark. One of the more, in my mind, intriguing horses. I don't know what to do with Further Ado because the last race was so good, but you can point to reasons why there are issues with Further Ado every step of the way. The 11 Incredible, I think, is a very interesting long shot. 20-1 on the morning line. Last I looked was right around 29-1. A horse for Riley Mott, Bill Mott's son, who ran really well in the Virginia Derby last time out, 3rd off the layoff, something that Bill Mott does very well. We'll see if his son able to replicate that success tomorrow in the Derby with the 11 Incredible.
Let's hit the guest line right now. Will Hill's joining the program, VSiN contributor. He's also a Yankee fan, writer for Fox Sports, host of a Shoulda Bet More podcast. That's always the case. Shoulda Bet More. Will, good Friday to you. Good to see you, brother.
Boys, what's going on? What a great weekend. NBA, NHL playoff games, the Derby. A great time to be alive.
It's not often we get 6 game 6s on the same day. 3 in the NBA, 3 in the NHL. Going to be an awesome night. We get the Oaks stuck in there as well, so get a little horse racing action too. But I know you're focused on this NBA slate, and one of the more interesting first-round series so far has been Orlando and Detroit. I didn't give Orlando a shot when this series started. It looked like, specifically in the play-in game against Philadelphia, they were just done with the season. However, they've had every answer so far for Detroit. We saw Banchero put up 45 to kind of fight with Cade's 45 in the last game. Detroit did get the victory to force this game 6 in Orlando. Detroit a slight favorite right now, anywhere from 3.5 to 4 in this spot. What are you doing with this Pistons Magic game?
Yeah, I like Orlando. Everyone knows for the last couple of weeks, this has been my adopted team. I just thought this was a bad matchup for Detroit because Detroit, they win with their effort, their physicality. And those things really, first of all, they don't work in the playoffs because, especially against Orlando, who's a big team, and everybody plays hard in the playoffs. So to me, these teams have looked like evenly matched teams from game one, from the jump here, where I've been saying this is a 1-8, where the 1 doesn't look like a 1 and the 8 doesn't look like an 8. So I like Orlando at home tonight. They've won the first 2 games at home by about 7 or 8 points each. I know they lost the other night, but you know what? Detroit was into the bonus 2.5 minutes into the game. I thought they got a really good whistle early on. Banchero missed a bunch of free throws. Nobody besides Banchero really did much. The role players probably play a little better for Orlando. It concerns me, no Wagner. I think if this was Wagner in this game, I would really not hesitate and figure Orlando is going to not only cover, but win, move on, and be very dangerous the next round. It doesn't sound like he's particularly close, not really doing anything in terms of the shoot around. So it's really like a 2-week injury. So we'll see on his status. I think Orlando has to win tonight. I'd be very concerned about them winning a game 7 on the road, but I think they do it. Detroit's been shaky on the road. These look like pretty even teams. I know no Wagner here, but I'm going with the home dog. I'm surprised you're getting 4.5 here, even with the injury.
Will, how about Houston and the Lakers? Obviously, the Lakers getting Reeves back previous game. That ended up being a loss. Houston, odd team when you look at it all season long, when you look at the Rockets. And obviously, they're dealing with injuries as well. What about the Rockets tonight? A game 6 at home as their 3.5-point home favorite.
Yeah, I was on Sunday with JJ, and I said, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen in game 4, but the Rockets at 9-1 is a bet I'm willing to make to come back and win the series. Just because if they get one, you never know. I still feel that way. I think we're headed for game 7, and I think it's going to be a coin flip, and I actually think the Rockets get it done. It's going to happen at some point. Somebody's going to come back from down 3-0. It's only happened 4 times where a team is even forced to game 7. Only 15 times a team is forced to game 6. I think you're starting to see the Rockets' advantage in terms of their youth, their athleticism. The every other day scenario now for LeBron and the Lakers is not great. I thought he looked kind of worn down Wednesday night. His threes were not looking good. His threes were falling short. And now you're going to play him with only 1 day between. I think the Rockets get it done here. Kennard hasn't been a factor. They found out ways to attack him when he's on the other side of the ball. And these role players, you can get a couple of games out of them, but they're eventually going to return to what they are. And that's what Kennard, Smart, these guys are. And to me, the Rockets, I just think will throttle them defensively. I just don't know how the Lakers score here. They don't have a lot of options. I know Reeves maybe a game back, a little more, rust off. He'll look better. I could see that, but I think we're headed for a game 7. I think the Rockets are winning the series, and I might need to tune out for a while. If LeBron is the first player or on the first team to blow a 3-0 lead, man, the takes after that day and for the next however long are going to be exhausting. But I do think we're headed that way.
So you like the Rockets here at 3.5. You mentioned you like them in Game 7 if we get there. Are you interested in the series price right now? I know you got 9-1 in pocket, but you can get plus 260 right now on the Rockets to win this series. Is that a bet that, like, let's say if you do like the Rockets tonight, maybe you go half a unit on the 3.5, half a unit on winning the series at plus money? Does that make sense to you, or would you rather just focus on tonight and then bet the Rockets again as a small dog in Game 7?
Yeah, that plus 260 seems a little bit high. I'd be a little bit surprised if the Rockets lost tonight. And like Malusa said, they're a weird team, but at plus 260, I think it's definitely worth a shot. I think LeBron, playing every other day now, there's just not a lot around him. I just don't know about them scoring. And if you got the plus 260 and you get into a Game 7, you can live bet it where if the Rockets get a lead, you can kind of figure out what to do with that ticket. But I think we're looking at a Rockets win tonight, Game 7, kind of a coin toss. And I just have a feeling here the Rockets are going to be the first team here to make history.
Game 7 over the weekend up in Boston, Celtics and 76ers. I think it's too big of a number when you're looking at 7.5, giving me Embiid and company when you're looking at Philadelphia. And they've won twice up there in Beantown already. Total in the game is sitting at 206.5. Will, when you look at that matchup, anything from a side or total perspective in that Game 7 up in Boston on Saturday?
I'm with you. The 7.5 seems too much. Philly is a dangerous team to trust in big spots. We know that. Embiid and George, and just not only their play, but staying on the court. You're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. So there's part of me that's just rooting for, for them to get some good luck once in a while and just have a moment. And they've had that moment here the past couple of days. I'm with you. It's too many points. I think it'll be a tight game. I wouldn't be surprised if the Sixers won the game. I certainly lean towards Philly. I like the under, though. I mean, we know how these Game 7s go. They're tense. Teams have nerves on both sides offensively, max intensity defensively. I know it's been adjusted, and if you look at the regular season numbers, it's hard to justify a 206.5. But to me, the regular season numbers, when you compare them to Game 7 of the playoffs, an elimination game here, there's just not a lot of comparison. To me, it's a totally different game. So lean towards the Sixers for sure. Give them a shot to win the game. But I do like that under 206.5. And I think you look at the game, and the Sixers have some actual advantages with Embiid and George healthy. And that's been always the thing with Philly with this iteration of them. If they're healthy, when they're healthy, there's always that asterisk, that caveat. They look pretty healthy now. They look sort of refreshed from not playing that much, George and Embiid. Maxi's a tremendous player. I think this game goes down to the wire. The more I'm kind of thinking about it and talking about it, I probably do like Philly here as much as the under, but I'm going to go with the under 206.5.
Now, we do have 3 Game 6s tonight in the NBA, and you mentioned you're playing the under here in Game 7. You talked about the trend where we've seen these unders get hammered, and they open significantly lower than what the rest of the series has been. Are you auto-betting the unders in any of the series here if we do end up with 7 games? So if we do end up seeing that Game 7, are you going right to the books and playing under in Game 7 in any of the 3 series that have that Game 6 tonight?
Probably. Again, it'll depend on the number, and they do the books. I will give them credit. They are better at adjusting this, where it used to be they would just set the number based on what the rest of the series has been. Then it gets pounded, and they have to adjust it. But I won't be betting overs. I'll put it that way. The Game 7, not that they all get home and they've been adjusted, but Game 7 overs are for me are tough for me. So not that I'm blindly betting them, but it would pretty much be under or nothing for me in these Game 7s.
Will, we're through the NFL free agency. We're through the NFL draft. We've got undrafted free agents being signed. Anything when you're looking at team totals, and training camp will be here before we know it. It'll be late July and everything like that. Anything with that tickles your fancy when you're looking at team totals?
The Patriots have been in the news. I don't know if you guys have heard. I love their under. To me, There's so many things that factor in here. Super Bowl hangover. We know how that goes. The last 3 Super Bowl champions haven't won a playoff game combined. 2 have missed the playoffs. They had such an easy schedule last year, and now they get a first-place schedule. And look at that first-place schedule. It's Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Jags, Lions, Bears, Packers. It went from being, they're basically playing, the JV schedule to now this is a much different schedule. You're throwing everything with Vrabel where it's hard to imagine he's just going to be completely locked in, focused, and that's not some sort of a distraction, some sort of a negative. You could say it's no factor at all. It's certainly not a positive. So Super Bowl hangover, harder schedule, and a much harder schedule. The Vrabel stuff, to me, under 9.5 is a good bet. You could also say, you know what, don't overthink it. Just play the Bills to win the division. That might be a good play. But to me, the Patriots are definitely a team I'm looking to fade here.
Well, I agree with you, Will. I think this is go ahead, Mark.
No, I was going to say I can understand that. And yes, I think the Patriots, they've been in the news just a little bit as of late over the past number of months. But yes, it's going to be interesting to see. And maybe they end up with A.J. Brown. Will, you're the best. Appreciate it. Good luck with all your plays, all right? And have good shows this weekend.
All right. See you guys. Good luck on the Derby. Appreciate it.
You got it. There you have it. Will Hill. Straight ahead. Mike mentioned it. We've got 6 game sixes. NBA, NHL. We'll delve into that next. You're listening to Money Moves right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Well, if you've got a group chat full of hot takes, Cut was built for you. Cut is a social betting platform that lets you bet directly against your friends and other users on basically anything: sports, politics, pop culture, and even personal bets. Every bet is fully customizable and pre-funded, which means no more chasing someone down when they lose. No flaking, no excuses, just results. And unlike traditional betting apps, Cut actually gives you cash back on every single bet you make, even against your friends. Now you can get 20% deposit bonus on your first deposit when you use promo code VSiN, VSIN. Head to Cut.com. That's KUTT.com, or download in the App Store and use promo code VSiN. That's VSIN. A Friday edition of Money Moves. Mark Malusis and Mike Somich alongside with you. Ladies' Day, Oaks Day, Churchill Downs. We'll have a full breakdown of Kentucky Derby 152 to kick off hour number 2, Mike. But you mentioned it earlier this hour, 6 game sixes across the NBA and the National Hockey League tonight. Let's start in the association, shall we? And that is, the 1-8 series, which has not gone the Pistons' way. It's been Cade Cunningham and not much else. Detroit down 3-2. They staved off elimination in Game 5 at home. Now they're on the road down in Orlando. The Magic are getting 3.5 at home. The total is sit at 210.5. Anything from a side or total perspective when you're looking at Detroit and Orlando tonight?
To me, the side is tough in this one. I think the number's actually right. Detroit should be a short road favorite here based on the body of work from the full season. It's hard for me to want to go that direction, though, just because of how Duran's played throughout this series, and it's not been great. It seems like the Magic may be able to figure him out defensively. I do like the under here. Give me under 210.5 in this spot. These are two defensive, big time effort teams, very physical teams. And if you look at most series, what you're going to see is that Game 6, you get a slight adjustment down in the total. Game 7, a larger adjustment down in the total. Well, the Game 5 total was 210.5. We're not seeing that adjustment here in Game 6. They flew over that number, but they shot combined over 40% from three-point land. And these are not two great three-point shooting teams. I find it hard to believe you're going to get that same type of effort as this series gets tighter and tighter and more down to the wire. So I'll try and take a little bit of a shot here at the under 210.5 here in Pistons and Magic.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Magic. Mike, and listen, I think the number's right. No Wagner, obviously, he's out for the Orlando Magic. Detroit goes up against the team. Paolo Banchero has been phenomenal in this series. So has Cade Cunningham. But Cunningham has been basically Batman and Robin. You mentioned it, the downturn in performance and offensive production based on what we saw in the regular season from Jalen Duren. The Pistons can't go out there and push around the Orlando Magic. And the stunning aspect is this is the Magic team that we thought we were going to get during the regular season. And for a myriad of different reasons, injuries, inconsistency, we didn't get it. The thought process was the Orlando coach's job was on the line, or potentially if they don't make it into the body of the field in the Eastern Conference, he would be out as head coach down there in Orlando. And they've been the better team in this series. And even without Franz Wagner, I've just watched this Orlando team. I think Cunningham, he's going to have to be superhuman, and he has been in this series. I get it, to get to this point in time. Orlando, though, even without Wagner, they're the better basketball team. They played better basketball. I think they close out the Pistons tonight. I'll take the Magic at home plus the 3.5. How about the Cavaliers? They're on the road in Toronto. The Cavaliers laying 4.5. They lead the series 3-2. The total in the game might sit at 218.5.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the Cavs here. I'm going to take that short road favorite in this spot. Lay the 4.5. Ingram has been downgraded to doubtful for this game. Don't expect them to be out there for Toronto. That means you're going to get additional minutes from the bench at a position that you don't have that much depth for this Raptors team. On the other side, feels like Cleveland started to figure things out a little bit as we got later and later into that Game 5. This is one of those spots where I expect Cleveland to come out and play one of their better basketball games. You're going to get the Raptors obviously at an elevated effort level here. Game 6 at home, a must-win situation. But I think talent wins out eventually in this series, much like it did in that Knicks-Hawks series. Not necessarily a 50-point win, but I do think the Cavs take care of business here on the road and close this one out.
Yeah, Mike, I'm with you. And I would take the Cavaliers laying the 4.5, and I will take the Cavaliers laying the 4.5 tonight on the road in Toronto against the Raptors for a myriad of different reasons. The Ingram injury, and him being doubtful doesn't necessarily come into play. I just don't. You look at Toronto, I just don't think there's enough. And Cleveland's a little bit of a soft team. I don't think Toronto has the weapons up front to be able to take advantage of it when you're looking at that front court. I'm not a big Harden guy, but I think he's good enough in this series. And he's being Robin, obviously, the Batman when you're looking at Donovan Mitchell, for the Cleveland Cavaliers. But they're the better team. Atkinson and the Cavaliers get through. Toronto pushed them. I don't think they push them to a Game 7. Give me the Cavaliers laying the 4.5. I think the outside shooting proves to be the undoing for Toronto and to the positive of the Cavaliers tonight. How about the Lakers? They're looking to eliminate the Rockets. They're on the road after they couldn't do it at home in Game 5. They got Reeves back in that one. LeBron and the Lakers. Still no Luka for Los Angeles. Houston, strange, odd team, as we talked about with Will, previous segment, Mike. They're laying 3.5 at home, looking to force a Game 7. The total in the game is sitting at 205.5.
Yeah, I'm not going to play this one. This is the one that I feel like is most confusing to me. We'll see what we get from Austin Reeves' second game back. You'd hope that you're going to get a little bit better performance, that he's going to look a little bit sharper out there, able to take a little more off of LeBron's plate. But you do kind of feel that pressure starting to ratchet up on the Lakers at the same time as this gets a deeper and deeper series. So I'll pass on this one. I do agree with what Will said. Like, if you like the Rockets, just take them 260 to win the series. I think if they win this game, they've got a very good chance heading back to Los Angeles. Again, back a one-day rest versus the elongated two-day rest we saw earlier in this series. That's a positive for a much younger Rockets team here. So no bet in this game or series for me. But if you gave me 100 mark bucks, I'd be betting the Rockets to win the series at plus 260.
Yeah, I'm staying away. I can't figure either of these two teams out. I really can't. I can't go out there and discernibly say to the VSiN audience on this Friday, yes, trust the Rockets, a team that I can't personally stand, to be honest with you. And I like the guys. I'm not telling you that. It's just the style and fashion in which they play. You'd love to see a Game 7 in this series. I don't know if you get there. It's one of those games where, Mike, if you told me the Rockets win, wouldn't be surprised. If you told me the Lakers win this game by 12, 15 points, wouldn't be surprised by that. It's one of those things. I don't think there's a discernible lean one way or the other. So I'm in agreement with you in terms of a stay away. We've got 3 Game 6s in the National Hockey League tonight. How about Tampa Bay? They're on the road in Montreal. The Lightning, minus 114 on the money line. The Canadiens, minus $1.05. You look at it, Montreal leading this series 3-2. Anything for you, Mike, between the Canadiens and the Lightning?
Well, I'm going to be on the same bet in all 3 of these games. And I've talked about first period unders a lot on VSiN here. Okay. If you look at the first round of the playoffs so far, you've got 2 series, the Ducks series, and you've got that Stars Wild series. The first period under went 2-10 in those series. So 10-2 to the over in those series. If you look at the other 6 series, all 3 of the games today from those other 6 series, that first period under 22-7 so far in the first round. This series specifically has been incredibly tight. I expect that to continue here from a defensive battle. This is Game 6, Mark. Only 5 minutes of this series have we not had a tie game or a 1-goal game on either side. Crazy. Only a 2-goal advantage in 5 minutes of these. And by the way, 3 of them have gone to overtime. That is just a wild stat here in this Canadiens and Lightning series. Give me that first period under 1.5, minus 120 in this spot. I think we see a very tight checking playoff hockey style first period here. And we go either 0 goals or 1 goal.
Yeah, I like that. And that is going to be some scene up in Montreal tonight. I want to be there and see the national anthem at 7:10 Eastern time or just before that. It's going to be an unbelievable atmosphere. How about Buffalo? They're in Boston taking on the Bruins. You mentioned you like it. You like the same play in all 3 of these games. The Sabres, they're a minus $1.20 favorite going into Boston tonight, looking to close this series out, leading 3-2.
Yeah, I'm taking first period under again, minus 120 in this spot as well. Same trend. These 2 teams have combined for first period unders more times than not here so far in this series. As we get deeper in, I expect that defensive hockey to ratchet up as well. This is the one I came closest to taking a side in. I do think it's Buffalo's night to close this series out. Again, just a more talented team than Boston. We've seen 2 back-to-back close games. We saw an overtime game last time in Buffalo where Buffalo was controlling the play, but Pasternak able to get an overtime goal for Boston to be able to squeak the victory out. I think Boston more likely to take care of business tonight. The minus 120 is a little high for me. I was hoping I was going to get minus 110. I still may have a small play on Buffalo when it's all said and done. But first period under, Boston, Buffalo for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the Sabres tonight as well against the Bruins. A small play. How about the Golden Knights? John Tortorella looking to close out the Utah Mammoth. They're a minus $1.14 favorite on the road, Mike.
Yeah, back to the first period under, minus 115 in this spot. Again, we're just going to ride that trend. It's been great for us so far here in the first round. I was hoping to get plus money on the Mammoth. And if at some point today that pops up, I will go ahead and take it. This is, again, just a true coin flip series. And when you have the home team and plus money in a coin flip series, I'm going to gravitate toward that direction. I unfortunately had Utah last game, plus 140. They end up losing in double overtime. That one stung. I'll get back on board here if I can get plus 105 by puck drop.
It's going to be a fantastic Friday night. And then you throw in the Oaks later on tonight. We're going to break down Kentucky Derby 1-5-2, mix a little Oaks Derby double, and we'll get Samich on the record. What's his superfecta this year after nailing it last year? That's all next. It's Money Moves on a Friday right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.